Twitch, Twitch, Twitch. Here we go, Twitch.
Bedra. Twitch.
We have sound. And Dementia Radio. And Wildcard just resubscribed. Dementia Radio now. And recording in 3, 2, 1.
Recorded live on DementiaRadio.org, it's the Funny Music Podcast. Brought to you by FuMP.com, where you can download new free comedy songs twice a week. Now, here's your hosts, Devo Spice and the great Luke Ski.
Hey, Devo Spice.
Hey, Luke Ski.
Hey, look who's immediately next to me. It would be Television's Kyle.
Hi, I'm Picnic.
Hello, Television's Kyle. Welcome to episode 717 of the Funny Music Podcast for March 14th, 2024. I almost said 22, and then my brain went, no, it's 23, and then went, no, it's 24. Jeez, I'm tired. Had a long day. Title of this week's episode is Nifty Ladle, which I just put in the chat. So, yeah, long day. But we're here now. I have a pre-recorded interview coming up later with Bella Via. And thank you to Wildcard for subscribing for the 39th month in a row to our Twitch channel using his Amazon Prime subscription. And let's do the catch-up thing.
Let's get caught up with what Devo and Luke have been up to since last week. Or else Devo, if Luke bailed and didn't show up.
Hey, what?
Oh, he's right.
So, Luke, what you been up to?
Well, that depends. Do you want to do the MarsCon wrap-up now or later?
Shoot him now.
Well, that depends if Kyle wants to be part of the MarsCon wrap-up, because that could be a while.
I was there.
Mm-hmm. Can you guys possibly be louder? Because I have you turned up all the way, and the thing is
Now,
not
is that
switching
90s
to you.
sarcasm or an actual request?
No, that's
I think it's an
actual
actual
request, because it's
You
not
guys
switching to you when you
louder.
talk.
We needed to switch to us when we do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it working?
Yes, now we are seeing you. I'm going to turn me down a little bit, and that way we'll be closer to each other. Oh, Wildcard said there was actually a paid subscription, not an Amazon Prime subscription. So thank you, Wildcard.
Yay, Wildcard.
Yeah, we can do the MarsCon thing now. I don't mind. I got no place to go.
All right.
You know what?
Well,
Why don't I do what I've been up to first, and then we can do MarsCon.
Word.
I had a job interview today. How about them apples? And it was a weird one because it was a virtual job interview where they sent me a PDF full of questions that I had to fill out like I was in high school writing essays and then email it back to them within 3 hours, which I just barely made. So that was interesting. And it took a lot out of me. Like, my brain has been shut off for a couple hours now because I did a lot of typing this afternoon. Last weekend, I was not at MarsCon because swim. We were at the state championships, and Darren did not really have a great swim meet. But on the way home, we were driving. It's like a 3.5 hour drive from Pennsylvania, from the Amish Dutch country, Lancaster. Thank you. So it's like 3.5 hours. An hour and change, like an hour and a half into the trip home, we stopped to get gas. So I pull into the gas station, and Darren is doing this, like gesturing to the car in front of us, and I'm like, what? And he goes, I forgot her name, but it was one of the other parents of the swim people who was just at the meet with us. So it was just kind of random there. Now, so I get out of the car, say hi, talk to her, start pumping gas. And now I have a wool knitted hat of a Goomba that my wife made for me about 10 years ago, and I love it. And I keep it on the inside pocket of my jacket with my wallet. So I had to fish it out. And with the conversation with the other mother, I must have put it on the back of my car when I got gas. And then I drove away. And I didn't know that I had done that until I got home 2 hours later. When I got home, I went to walk the dogs, and I'm like, it's cold out. I'm going to put my hat on. And I reached into my pocket, and it wasn't there. And I freaked out. So I looked all over for it, and then I was like, no, I remember taking it out of my jacket when I stopped to get gas. I'm like, it must have like fallen off my car at the gas station. So the next day I called the gas station, and I was like, hey, did anybody turn in a brown knitted hat, by any chance? And they were like, nope. So I was talking to Jen, and I'm like, how crazy would I be to drive back to Allentown and see if it's there, if I can find it? And she's like, it's up to you. So that's what I did on Tuesday. I drove 2 hours back to Allentown, Pennsylvania, to the gas station where I stopped to get gas, and I found it on the side of the road, right as like in the exit to where I got out of the gas station. So I was so happy to have found this hat.
I love you, hat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's not like I can go buy another one. My wife made that hat. So, and the only other thing I've been doing is while I was at States, I finished listening to all the FuMPFest recordings from 2023, and I decided what tracks I want to use, and I cut them up, and I loaded them onto my phone, and I listened to them on the drive home. So I was able to listen to the entire recording. I have a couple of like glitches I need to fix in the recordings, and a couple of leveling equalization type things I need to do, but otherwise that'll be done, and then I can start getting those CDs in production, and we can start selling them soon. So I will be sending all of you emails asking for permission and whatnot very shortly. So that's been my life. What have you been up to? Tell us about MarsCon. MarsCon.
Well, the problem with being the person who runs MarsCon is that you're so mentally on the highest gear that by the time it's done, it's like if everything goes well as planned, it's like you remember that it all happened, but it's hard to remember like specific highlights and stuff. So I'm very glad that Kyle is here so that he can maybe fill in some holes in my memory of specific examples of things that were cool. So Friday night we kicked off with Holy Bong Water. You weren't there for that, so you can't really help at all, can you?
Yeah, my first flight got delayed. One of them's where they get everyone on the plane, and then they realize the plane is in some way mechanically insufficient, and then they take everybody off of the plane.
That's better than the door blowing out at 30,000 feet.
Sure. But, if I'm just saying, if it was my job to put people on planes and send them to places, I might have a backup plane or two.
Yeah. It would be logical.
But yeah, that kind of brought us in the middle of Chris's set, maybe an hour before I was supposed to go on as half of Scooter Picnic. Made it!
Yep.
Yay!
So, with Holy Bong Water, getting set up, I
was able to watch the whole streams all weekend, so I saw everything.
Oh,
everything
sweet.
Everything except the Kyle and Luke Talk About Tunes podcast, because I was out at the time, but I saw everything else, and I figured I'd catch the podcast when you post it.
Yeah, there was nothing visual about it that was interesting to see, so you can just hear it on the podcast. Speaking of which, did you get a hold of Bryn?
I did, but she didn't have it ready yet, so
all right.
If I don't get it from her tonight, I'll touch base with her in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I have the recording from my Zoom recorder that was like sitting in front of the stage, but I'd assume that the board recording will be a far superior recording to go with.
I would imagine so.
Yes. So Jason Julia did a great set. They've been kind of working on the final studio versions of some of their songs that they had last year. So it was nice to hear the continually being improved versions of some of their awesome songs. So they did an awesome job. Then we had Chris Mazzalessa, Power Salad, get up and do some nifty things. He did some classics. He did the Elephant song, which was cool. And
he had things kind of loaded up in an interesting way where he could like sort of start and stop things. So like for his, what's the name of the Tom Lehrer tune he covered?
Lobachevsky.
Yeah, Lobachevsky. Like that's hard to like gauge when you're supposed to stop talking and start singing as far as like timing out an audio file. So with the setup he had, that made it like, very possible to do, and he seemed very happy about that.
Yeah. So it's like he could break down the song into little parts, so that way he could like hit a trigger button, so that the thing will continue when he wants it to. So yeah, again, Christmas list of being brilliant. And yeah, just the live performance of Lobachevsky was so freaking great. So yeah. And then we moved on to Insane Ian. Ian once again brings it, full tilt as he always does. You'd think I'd have a clear memory of what he performed, considering his music was being run from my laptop. I feel so bad about this. It's like, I know he did good. I just can't remember all the specific goods that happened. And
One
then
of them was, I bet I can eat more waffles than you, because there was kind of this continuous. Oh, and the sounds of chickens, because they were kind of like a continue running thread throughout the night of both chicken and waffles.
Yeah, that went out. That went to the rest of the weekend with the chicken songs. So yeah, we had the first ever full-length Scooter Picnic concert.
Yes,
yay!
We think.
To the best of our memories, the first ever full-length Scooter Picnic concert. So yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was super fun to see the two of you getting to.
And when you guys were talking about this, being the first Scooter Picnic thing, I'm like, why the hell did I not do that at FuMPFest at some point? So maybe I could.
But yeah, we did a lot of stuff we hadn't done before, because full-length concert might as well, including this week's song, which we will talk about soon. We closed out with Cat Named Flo. Let's see what else was like. Oh yeah, there was a lot of manic idiot energy because I'd had all that trouble with traveling. I just had a long day of travel and had arrived, just in the nick of time to even do this show.
I'm familiar with that.
Usually works out good for Scooter Picnic shows.
But we also need to give a shout out and special thanks to my girlfriend Kalani, who used her rental car to pick up Kyle and Lindsay at the airport, so that it was the minimal amount of time and effort and etc. for Kyle and Lindsay to get from the airport to MarsCon and get up to the main stage. So shout out to her for helping out. What's the other thing I was going to say? Because obviously I would not, ever wish for that kind of a plane delay to happen to Kyle and Lindsay and everything. But just that having been the situation, it made for a lovely stew of, manic insanity on the stage. It was great. So
it was a stew with a nifty ladle, wasn't it?
Speaking of nifty ladles, last year during the various things that happened over the weekend with Bryn and Chris Peterson in the back doing their commentary between things. At one point during the weekend, Chris Peterson said the phrase, "I left my emotional support spatula at home."
Yes.
And because I really liked that line, I decided to use it in the promo. So having it being used in the promo inspired Chris Peterson and possibly also Bryn. I'm not sure if it was just Chris or if it was both of them teaming up on this. They had specially printed a bunch of the kind of I don't know if there's a different name for that type of thing.
I think of it as like a frosting spatula.
Yeah, a frosting spatula. Like these, they got, I forgot how many it was, like 300 of these things made, of these little blue frosting spatulas, and printed on them it says emotional support spatula. And then each one has a little lanyard tied to it so people could wear them around their necks.
I really should have got.
It was the one thing I forgot to buy. I actually remembered to go buy stuff at the merch table this year, and then I forgot to buy an emotional support spatula. So basically, they put these together as a means to support the MarsCon comedy music tracks, so that the people at the table would sell them for $5 each, and then whatever money was made from them would go towards the MarsCon comedy music track.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so that they raised about another I think $110 on top of us hitting our goals, which, by the way, as of Thursday, the day before MarsCon started, actually the last purchase to take us over the line, I believe, was Kyle Carosa.
Hey, because I was like, oh yeah, I didn't buy it.
Yeah. So we did in fact hit the first stretch goal, so all of the hotel rooms were paid for. So thank you to everyone who bought stuff. Special shout out to Eric Ray, who personally, over the course of the time we were doing all the promotions, cumulatively donated $500 towards it.
Oh.
So the two goals together were just under $1,500. So he basically paid for a third of it over the course of the 6 weeks that I was doing all that. So thank you to him. We appreciate his generosity so much.
Wow.
So yeah.
Speaking of Bryn and Chris, did you hear their conversation with the AI?
No, I didn't.
It was during one of the breaks when one of the bands was setting up. I don't remember who, but Bryn had an AI app on her phone that they were just having a conversation with. They were talking about, I think, Star Trek and stuff. And at one point they said, what happens if we call the AI Buddy? And because they were talking about Brack. Mm-hmm. And the AI mistook it for them to mean that Chris's name was Buddy. So the AI said back, hi, buddy. Nice to meet you, like that. And then Chris goes, no, my name's not Buddy. It's Chris. And the AI goes, oh, my mistake, Chris Buddy. And then from then on, his name was Chris Buddy. And see if they have this recorded, because it is hysterical.
Well, I look forward to putting that on the collection next year. Yeah. So yeah, and also, of course, thank you to everyone at Table 27 who helped out, and stuff. Yeah. I only went up to the 12th floor for the room parties, just a brief zip around to see what was going on. I stopped in the Space Oddity room for a few minutes just to say hey, and then I went to bed because I was exhausted. But then the next day, we started a half hour later. Well, actually, technically 45 minutes later than usual, because at 2 p.m. we had the Blue Lotus belly dance troupe go up with our friend Angie and her cohorts doing awesome belly dance performances.
I was disappointed that was not streamed. I wanted to watch that.
Oh, darn. I wasn't sure if they were doing that back there or not. I was too busy taking care of all the other things. So at 2:45, Jake Dewar got up, did his set. He crushed it. It was amazing. It was hilarious. I was very glad he did his song, Be a Decent Human Being. It's like probably my favorite Jake Dewar song. But yeah, he just absolutely, he did some stuff on guitar. He had some stuff that was pre-recorded tracks. And he went to John to set up the playing of the pre-recorded tracks. And I was sitting there in the audience going like, wait, what? Oh yeah, other people can do that. Okay, fine. Cool. But yeah, he did an amazing job. So thank you, Jake, for coming out for the first time. And then we had the TV's Kyle Linzilla concert. Hey. So yeah, you had a theme this year.
Yes, it was an animal-themed set because Lindsay pointed out, say, I have a lot of songs that are about animals, so I picked several, including several that we hadn't performed before or hadn't performed very much. There was a turtle mini set within the set.
The turtle trilogy, if you will.
Yes.
So it's ironically the song that's about Ninja Turtles 2 was the third song in the set.
Right.
But yeah, so super fun as always. Just and I always love the banters that you and Lindsay do. It's my favorite thing. One of my favorite things to listen to when I go back. It's like I got, it's like between the Ian concert, the Scooter Picnic concert, and the Kyle and Lindsay concert. It's like I'm gonna have so much wonderful banter to choose from when making next year's promo. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and that included our version. I think I mentioned this on last week's show, but for those who didn't hear, we did an updated King of Kong that because you weren't there, Lindsay
yes,
did, Pauline.
I really enjoyed Lindsay's new verse. That was great.
Thank you.
That was so awesome. I mean, not that I wanted to invent more props for you to bring, but I wish she had like the big Pauline hat.
Oh, not the worst idea.
Yeah. So yeah, and then it was me. I started by performing Fake Adult, which has, some alternate lyrics in the middle to, deal with my updated life. But I also significantly altered the last 4 lines of the song to make it, up to date. And another thing that was nifty for the first time ever, Alex San, aka Meow Meme, joined me on stage to sing the chorus vocal of Fake Adult. So that was particularly cool because I had thought about doing that for a while, but I don't know. I just, especially when it's MarsCon, I'm always too busy to think about like, should I do that? Should I do that? Blah, 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 whatever. And then at some point, Carrie brought it up to me because Carrie had mentioned that Alex San was interested in being in the Chicken song. And then I forgot which one of us brought it up, but one of us brought up like Fake Adult. And Carrie went and asked Alex San about it, and Alex San was excited to give it a shot. So
Alex San wanted more stage time? I'm surprised.
Yes.
Although I do want to say this, like overall, the Alex San stage experience, I think like got a big upgrade this year. Like she, isn't padding her part. She's like, just doing the stuff she's supposed to do. Yeah, she had to be like removed at the end as a joke, but that was like, we'll get to it later. But I thought her dumb parody idea was really good. And then like there was some banter between her and Andy during his set that was like just the right amount.
Yeah, it was the perfect back and forth. It was great. I was nervous there for a second, but then it just went fine. It was so cool.
Yeah, I think Alex San is developing like some, probably thanks to all the stage time you give her, some honest to goodness comedy chops.
Yeah, and I'll bring that up later when we get to the dumb parody ideas thing. The other thing I did, more like the thing I didn't do, was I had been planning for months to do a new song, and it didn't happen. Basically, I had been, after I got all the MarsCon things done, because I was way behind on, getting MarsCon things done. I had like 2 weeks left to try to get a new song finished that I'd been planning for months. I'd already made a down payment on the music. I'd already gotten, a basic mix of the music from the person making it, and it's brilliant, and it makes me excited to get the song done. And it's one of those songs where Luke is covering a pop culture topic, and I, thoroughly studied the topic. I made notes. I then typed up the version of those notes, and I was like, I got like down to the point where like I was literally 49 hours until I had to leave for MarsCon, and I realized there's no reasonable way I'm going to get this done, and even if I did, it would be a subpar version of the thing I want to make. So I just have to let it go and put it off for later on in the year when I have the time. I don't want to wait too long to get it done. I mean, maybe I might intentionally wait until late April to start working on it again for specific reasons that I won't get into. But yeah, I want this song. I want to make happen this year. Preferably, I don't know. Anyway, the point is that I basically made the majority of my set, like all of the songs I have done most recently. One of which, because last year it was the 1 year anniversary of when Needlessly Meta came out, and last year at the concert, I did not perform Progressive Love Song because I felt like nobody was into it. I performed it once at one of the Hollywood Nerd Night shows, and it went all right there, but I don't know. I just kind of felt like nobody was into the song. I'm not going to bother performing it. That was a year ago. And then, of course, we had Chuck at FuMPFest bring this awesome music video that basically, justifies the existence of the song, in my opinion. So I had asked Chuck, because Chuck doesn't have that video available for the world to see because that's Chuck's choice. You can make art and keep it to a small group of people if you want to. That's the way it works.
That's a treat.
Yeah. So I asked, is it okay with you if I put my backing track to your video and then perform the song so I can show the video while I'm singing the song? And she said, yeah. So we did that, and I gave I think a fairly brief explanation at the beginning of the thing. It's like, to let everyone know, like, I actually I had them turn the lights down, and I moved myself and the microphone off to the side. I'm like, don't look at me while I'm singing. Don't look at me. Just watch the video. No Luke, only video. Watch the video because the video is amazing. And yeah, and the crowd, like, they laughed a whole lot. They really dug it. It was so cool. So I was very happy to have done that. And then Alex Ann joined me for Chicken, which went well. because she was very happy to yell chicken, and she did
Which
it.
you have to remember, like, for most of the world is a live premiere.
Yes. And she did something at the end that I was expecting her to do, which was, because in the description of the song Chicken, or maybe it wasn't in the description, it might have been like the lyrics that I wrote that I sent to everybody. I said, at no point during this song will there be any chicken sound effects, or mouth noises, impersonations, because that's not what that's not the point of this song, is not to be a song like that. So having heard that, being the amazing little contrarian that she is, she immediately wants to do that into my song. So at the very end of the song, when I got to the last one, she basically grabbed the mic and went into the chicken like screaming chicken noises into it.
Can't take it anymore.
And then collapsed on the stage and So here's the thing that I need to change for my set going forward in the future, because I did this repeatedly all weekend. In my iTunes playlists for the audio thing, when it's video, when I have like in between spaces, I have this like video of the Lukeski logo that just goes for 10 minutes. So I put that in between each song so I can banter as long as I want, because I'm never going to banter that long, and then I can hit to the next thing. So for the audio version, I only made them 10 seconds for whatever reason, because I figured, well, I'm just going to be sitting here, blah, blah. But I screwed that up so many times over this weekend that I need to make a blank 10-minute audio thing. So from now on, I don't keep accidentally hearing the next song start playing in my set or anybody else's set. So I kept screwing that up over the weekend. And then I closed with, and I was very nervous about this. I decided to close with Baby Got Brack because Andy Merrill's there, and when else will I ever have the chance to potentially perform Baby Got Brack and have Andy Merrill witness it? Because, obviously, I didn't want to try to ask him to perform it with me, because that would involve a level of rehearsal that I didn't feel comfortable trying to ask him to do. So I'm like, well, and I didn't go to tell him beforehand that I was going to do it, because he was going to be off in the hallway selling merch, and I didn't want to like take any potential sales away from him, by saying like, oh, excuse me, will you get up from your table and come in here? I figured if he's not busy and he hears what's going on, hopefully he'll wander in. And exactly that's what happened. I start playing the opening that has the whole pre-recorded spiel, like that goes for 49 seconds of the Space Ghost characters talking, and then I start. So by the time it gets to be like the Zorak verse, Andy just slowly wanders on stage behind me and just kind of starts, like, he stands next to me at one point when I start doing the Zorak verse, and then he like drifts away again, and then it gets to the end of the, and of course the crowd is going nuts while this is happening, and then it gets to the end, and I I do the whole Brack verse, and then he finally comes out at the end, and I'm like, at the end, I like Danny Goss. He's just kind of standing there, and the T-shirt he happened to be wearing that day says the words, thanks, I hate it. So he just kind of like, and he had like another shirt on over it, so he just kind of went to the center stage and just kind of went like pulled the shirt open, but then he stopped and he gave me a hug on stage and everything, and then walked off, and then that was the end of my set. So that went about as well as I could have hoped for. And also Baby Got Brack is one of those that it's old enough that, I mean, I did practice it beforehand, but it's old enough that it's like, What's Up Spock, or one of the other old ones where it's like, oh yeah, I know this. I don't need to concern myself about whether or not I have this memorized and can perform the words. I just need to do it out loud once or twice and make sure, like, oh yeah, that's how the muscles go when I say Buddy Boy Beans, etc.
And also it's, been so long since you've done it that I don't know that I've ever seen you do it before.
Yeah, because I don't have a proper backing track video for it, it made me... I know at some point somebody started making one. Like on YouTube, there was like the first 2 verses of the song, somebody had made a video for it using Space Ghost clips, and then the song just fades out right when it gets to the Brack part, the most important part of the song. And I went searching online to try to find that video, or to see if I had pulled it off of YouTube and saved it, and I can't find it anywhere. So I was bummed that I couldn't even at least find that to use. Instead, I just threw up an image of Space Ghost, Zorak, and Brack that I drew back when me and Tony did that Behind the Looney special for the Looney Bin about Brack. So yeah, but yeah, I think all in all it went well. I also made a decision this year. I normally bring this carry-on luggage size suitcase that would have my merch and some other stuff for the table and the Table 27 t-shirts and stuff, and I bring that whole thing as a separate piece of luggage. And I think when I brought it to FuMPFest, I sold maybe 2 CDs. So I brought this whole extra suitcase just to sell 2 CDs. So this time around, I'm like, let's see if I can just pack a smaller amount of merch and all the other stuff I would need to bring into the one big suitcase and keep it under 50 pounds. And in fact, that worked. And at the end of the weekend, I discovered, yes, I sold 2 CDs.
Which is one more than I sold.
Yeah. I mean, the previous year when the album was new, I sold, like, I think either 10 or 12 CDs. It's like, okay, Luke's at MarsCon, new album, 12 CDs. Gotcha. Okay.
That's what the market's like these days, folks.
Yeah. And as usual, nobody bought any of the download cards because why would they?
Yeah.
Also, I pointed this out to Aaron Sherlock. Oh, I didn't even mention that part of it. Aaron Sherlock, who was there, was like, couldn't get the CDs and is like, well, I want to buy this stuff, but I don't even have a CD player anymore or to rip things to my computer. And I pointed to my discs because I have they're turned upside down and I have written on them, free CD with download card, and I have them like taped. It's like, that's why I include a download card with all my CDs, so that way people don't have to worry about that thing. But just to jump out of the timeline for a minute, because I want to mention it so I don't forget it again. As was previously reported, the Dementia Fun Bus returned this year, which was an actual bus because Ken Sherlock and his daughter Erin. I believe it's Aaron who actually now works like driving big vehicles like that for a living. So they were able to set up and rent getting a proper it's not the shortest of short buses, but I guess it would be a medium bus. It wasn't like a full-on school bus, but it was they rented that and they picked up a whole bunch of people from Chicago. We had Blasted Bill come out. We had tons of people were on it, and they actually drove all the way out in the USS Whitehurst, and it was so cool to have, so many of these people back again that we haven't seen in a few years. And it also came in really handy at the end of the weekend when everybody wanted to go to the other Khan's Mongolian barbecue, which is 25 minutes north on the north side of St. Paul, so that we could do that at the end of the weekend. So that was a thing. Anyway, back to the timeline. Then it was time for Andy, and man, Andy was just fun and just hilarious. He did so many covers of songs as Brack with his ukulele.
I like the trilogy that he called Songs You Don't Want to Hear Me Do.
At one point, he started performing, Billie Eilish's song from Barbie, What Was I Made For? And I forgot who reported this to me. Somebody was in the back of the room where Stephanie was, and Stephanie was like basically this close to being, doornail levels of cracking up and rolling on the floor. Like she was that far away from that happening. That's how funny that was to her. But what song was it that he was doing that where the whole thing with it was Creep. He did Creep by Radiohead, and there's all these parts where like
the album version has well-known swearing, but the radio version does not.
So, like, at one point, he kind of stops during the song, and it's like, he said something like, there's swear words in this album, and there's kids in this room. And like, previously, he had pointed to Alexander, like, meow, and, like, pointed at her in the back of the room, which to me was like, okay, now you've given her permission to start talking back to you. So when he goes, there's swear words in this album, there's kids in this room, and then Alexander yelled up in the back of the room, it's okay, you can say them! And like the whole audience just cracked up, and then like he continues doing the song, and then he would be like, it's so freaking special. He would like, but oh man, it was such a great set. I'm trying to think of other. He did a few of the Brack classics in there. He did Magic Toenail. He did he did the I Love Beans song, but he put the words to a different well-known song. I forgot which one it was now.
I forget.
Oh no, it was Phil Collins, In the Air of the Night. He sang the lyrics to I Love Beans to In the Air of the Night.
Yes, that was great.
He did What Happened to the Water.
Yeah. So so much fun. So yeah, and then after that we had a half-hour break while we had Nuclear Bubble Wrap set up, and they did another great concert with this particular configuration because Kyle, right? Couldn't make it. Yeah.
Were they serious about him being off on a ski trip?
I think they were.
Because they were like joking that like they were the B plot while the A plot was Kyle off on the ski trip.
Actually, I thought it was the other way around. I thought they were the A plot,
okay,
and the ski trip was the B plot of what was going on that weekend. So
Either way, that conceit's really funny.
yeah. So but yeah, they did an awesome set as always. Plus, they had a new shirt based on their song. What Intelligent Design, is that the name of that song about the T-Rex?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like a T-Rex T-shirt that says something like how can I touch my penis or something with a hilarious, incredibly cute.
Lindsay, of course, purchased this shirt.
So yeah, I'm not sure if they have that up in their shops and stuff, but they probably do or will soon, I'd assume. Then Saturday night once again. I should also mention they had professional karaoke people there, and I didn't really get to spending time in there too much, but it seemed like they were having a good time. Stephanie, who was there on Friday night, basically I'm going to bring this up at the meeting. They were doing a thing. It's like when most karaoke people are in that situation, like there is the list of people who are, ready to go. But if like somebody new comes in, you try to get a new person fit in kind of early so they don't have to wait like an hour and a half to do a thing. Because, basically Stephanie showed up and signed up and never even got to do her song. So I'm going to bring that up at the meeting. But other than that, it was like they seemed to really, they nailed it. That was exactly the kind of karaoke room I would want to be in. So yeah. And then, of course, the Music Club and Brew Pub and all the other parties were happening on the 12th floor. Beth and the crew did a great job. I got my souvenir glass for donating to their Indiegogo. And then then it was the next day for Kyle and Luke Talk About Tunes live podcast with Andy Merrill. And I think that went. I had intended to re-listen to the Ken Pringle's podcast. The We Talk Funny about. I was going to re-listen to that and try to think of some questions that podcast could inspire, and then look up IMDb. I was going to figure out a whole organized way to go through talking about his career, and I had no time for any of that, so I just had to wing it at us as always.
Well, we have no shortage of stuff to talk about and interesting things to learn.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll all be able to hear that on Sunday. Plus, also, if you go quickly enough, I think all this stuff is still up on the Twitch page of MarsCon Dementia. And it's still called MarsCon Dementia. I'm just going to leave that. It's fine. Whatever. It's fine. And every year I always forget to do this. I should do it tonight. I should go and download the videos things that are there because they always make them unavailable after a week. And it's so frustrating.
I think it's 8 days because usually when I post this week's FuMPCast, last week says it's expiring in 1 day. So get them tonight or tomorrow before they expire.
So the Meow concert went really well. She opened with I should first mention the setup that they have. So one of Alexanne's challenges in doing music has always been knowing when to come in at the beginning of a verse and timing, basically keeping the words that she's saying in tempo with what the song is. So the thing we came up with for this year, because they were practicing these song parodies using karaoke tracks that were on YouTube. So what we did is I made video files of those karaoke tracks, with the background, for the first one, which is the parody Take On Me. I got the background music that they had paid to make, and I synced that. I synced that with the karaoke version. I had to do super nerd math to figure out okay, I need to slow it down to 98.52 blah 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 degrees to make it line up perfectly with the music that they had paid for. So basically, we set up my laptop so that it wasn't hooked up to the video projector. It was just sitting in the middle of this thing, so that while Alexanne was singing her lyrics, she had a visual thing going by showing here's where we are in the song, so that she knew when to properly come in at the beginning of lines and verses and stuff like that. So that was she did that for the 3 songs that she did. The first one was one that she did last year called Tick On Me, about getting ticks on you when you go out into the woods. Then she did a parody of to go along with the theme of the convention, which was that's classified, spies and secret agents. She wrote a parody of Born in the USA called born in the CIA. And then the last one was, I thought, like kind of the best of the batch. It was a Scooby-Doo song, a parody of Bon Jovi's Wanted Dead or Alive. I guess the technical title of it would be Haunted, Run for Your Life. And I just thought it was really good. Like I'm psyched that Alexandre and Carrie are moving towards having Alexandre potentially record some stuff, and who knows, maybe submit it for the FuMP. We'll see how things go with them, but yeah, I'm happy at the continued improvement of Alexandre as a comedy music performing person. So yeah.
Wildcard in the chat is asking, was there a reason why no videos this year for any of the music performers? You had video with your performance, right?
I had video.
Yeah.
Just random, whatever. I mean, Ian usually does, but this year he had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life, so he basically chalked it up to, like, he just asked, Luke, can you run my music? I'm like, yes, send me your files. I will run your music. And that was the way to help him streamline his life, which he needed to have happen. And ditto goes for the Scooter Picnic set. So yeah, that was the main reason. At various points, I wanted to at least hook up my laptop so that the video projector had the MarsCon Comedy Music Track logo up there. But every time I tried to do that, like, John kept turning off the video, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're not doing this then. It's a pick your battles kind of thing. It's like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of video projection, I have Lindsay.
Yeah. Which I would prefer to video projection, which I assume you do as well.
Yes.
We had the Dumb Parody Ideas contest, which, overall went well. Okay, this is the point at which I want to get back to Alexandre improving as a comedy performing person. So as you all remember, last year, at the end of the concert with the whole Robbie Ellis shenanigans, and basically the majority of us all thinking, those of us who like to follow the rules, thinking that Bonnie was the winner because she didn't break the rules.
By the way, Luke, that whole bit is on the FuMPFest compilation. So
excellent,
yeah, as it should be.
Excellent. So yeah, so when we got down to the top five, which I picked out, it was Alexandre, Carrie, Andy Merrill, RJ, and Dr. Quinn. And Dr. Quinn's dumb parody idea was a parody of it's Primus that does HAC Lane, right? Or is that Bloodhound Gang? Who does HAC Lane?
I don't know.
It was I'm assuming it's one of those two. If I'm wrong, somebody will correct us. Did a parody of that song called Dear Great Luke Ski. So like when he got up to perform it, like all of a sudden he pulled a Luke Ski and did a thing where he whipped off a shirt and he was wearing an outfit underneath, and the outfit underneath was basically his version of the Luke Ski bowling shirt with orange shirt underneath, and did a song, a parody of HAC Lane that was under 90 seconds, talking about like him wanting me to appear in his song. So after the song ended and he got a good amount of applause, I shouted, "No!" To which he responded, "That's exactly what I wanted you to do." So it was great. RJ's song, however, was oh god, I'm forgetting what it was.
It's the goth girl at the mall.
Yeah, parody of It's a Small World After
Which
All.
I thought was great.
Yeah, that got a great reaction, and so when it came time to do the audience judging, doing the applause by thing, RJ definitely got the most applause. Oh, and here's another cute thing. Both Carrie and both Carrie and Andy Merrill, when it came time to do the applause thing, they were both going like pointing over to Alexandre, like no, Alexandre's the one who can win. But RJ got the most applause, and then so Ian just said like, I think it's obvious that RJ is the winner, like yay, and like so RJ's holding the spatula. Now, as y'all remember last year when Robbie was announced the winner, Alexandre yelled like, no, and then Alexandre took the spatula away from Robbie and handed it to Bonnie and then ran off stage. And then Bonnie also, to go along with the bit, ran off stage. So this year, Ian announces RJ the winner, hands the spatula to RJ. Alexander chucks the RJ, takes the spatula away, and hands it to Dr. Quinn, and then walks off the stage. I'm like, yes!
Running gag achieved.
That is how it's done. I am so proud of Alexander for thoroughly executing a brilliant running gag without any prompting from anybody. So yeah, and then we did the Comedy Music Smackdown, which went great. I
was very happy to see Andy Merrill in that concert because I was not expecting him there.
Yeah, I had asked him via his manager early on if he would be interested. Like, that was one of the things that I'm like, okay, if I'm going to ask Andy to do something, what would it make sense to do? And both of them had to do with, the Dementia Smackdown or the Comedy Music Smackdown concert, because first of all, I wanted to know if he wanted to do songs in it, because I know that he basically, that's all he does on YouTube and TikTok and stuff, is just film himself as Brax doing cover songs, And I'm like, yeah, we just typically make it a comedy music song of some kind and just, do it on stage. And he actually had a bunch of ideas. One of them was, there's a song that Peter Griffin and Quagmire did. Like, there's an episode of Family Guy where they become like a folk music duo and they go out touring. And they have a song called Butter on a Pop-Tart. So he was going to do Butter on a Pop-Tart as Brack. That was the first thing he mentioned. So I put it on the list. And then when we got to the event, he was like, oh, no, I'm going to do something else. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. But the other part of it was... for years, it had been on my potential to-do list for covers for the Comedy Music Smackdown to do the song White Kids Love Hip Hop by MC Chris, which at the end of it features Andy Merrill showing up, doing his Brack voice, basically complaining about, how life is boring in his stupid little town, as a supposed, quote-unquote white kid. And... I would always want to do that, just assuming that I myself would just do the Brack part, because of course I would. But then I'm like, oh my God, I actually have Andy Merrill here. Could I do White Kids Love Hip Hop and have him reprise his role as Brack for it? And he said yes. So we made me the second to last act and Andy the last act, so that we could go out on, our music guest of honor going into closing ceremonies. So yeah, I asked Kyle, Lindsay, and Ian to do the chorus. And yeah, it's a tricky song to try to rap, because it's, once again, an up-tempo thing. And yeah, I rehearsed it as much as I possibly could in my hotel room. So I think I did a decent job. I know it wasn't flawless, but I did all right with it.
Pretty gosh darn good.
Yeah. And I remember when I handed the script to Andy, he was like, I barely even remember this. I'm like, just be like an annoyed teenager,
He certainly performed it like he remembered it.
Yeah, when Carrie said that's the thing that she knows Brack from the most is that song, and she said she thought it sounded perfect. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was just like I handed my phone to Dr. Quinn and asked him to film it. So I'm gonna hopefully put that up on YouTube soon, because cool. I want to tag MC Chris and let him see that this this thing happened. But yeah, everything went great. I know.
Yeah, it's like. We usually have a big finish planned.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean you. But yeah, this year's big finish was a proper big finish and completely accidental.
Yeah, because Andy did Eat It by Weird Al, and then he and then he did Mr. FuMP in the Iron Lung.
Yeah.
And
just Andy doing 2 Weird Al covers was exactly what that room wanted to hear.
So just friggin' perfect. It's like, once I get I don't want to be a pest to Bryn, because I know the convention just ended, but I may want to try to see if I can get her and Chris to put those music files up in my Dropbox quicker, because I might want to see if I can just get some of that audio to Dr. D to see if he'd want to play it on the show. So yeah. Yeah, and I don't want to like give away specific numbers, but I was in my mind, if I had to guess how much money Andy was going to make selling the autographs, I kind of like that would be X. And then I found at the end of the weekend that Andy did twice that. So Andy made twice the amount of money I was expecting he was going to make. So that's good. It does give me a good basis of, because the conventions Andy usually does these days are the kind where it's basically about, we've got a whole bunch of people from shows and cartoons and movies and stuff lined up, and you can pay $40 and get their autograph or do other stuff with them. and they just sit there and do that all weekend,
Yeah.
along a long line of other celebrities. So it gave me an interesting look into like, okay, if we get any other people who are of that ilk, who are wanting an agreement, it gives, and now I now have actual data of like, okay, that's how much I can expect them to make off of that type of thing, as the, main guest of honor. So, yeah. So all in all, things went really good. And like I said, I made a whole $20 in merch. So,
They did.
Moving up in the world. Well, no, you made more than that because I wasn't even there, and I sold 5 Tom Lehrer CDs, so you get royalties on that. So
5, really 5.
5. I sold 5. I would have sold 6 if I'd sent Janny 6, but I only had 5, so I sent her my entire stock of CDs.
Well, that makes more sense now because to me, like that was going to be the hot ticket item was the FuMP Tom Lehrer covers compilation. Then Janny's like, he sent me 5. I was like, 5?
It's all I had, and I didn't have time to make more.
I don't know if you fellas knew this. I'm not in MarsCon for making money.
Oh. So anyway, what was I just gonna say? Yeah, everything went really well. Oh, Kalani had a great time.
I was gonna ask what she thought of it.
She went into this weekend, trying to be like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you to help them. I'm gonna help you do all the things. I'm gonna do it. If you need me to do anything, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, the thing I want you to do is to sit down in the audience, like probably with Kyle and Lindsay or whoever, and just watch the shows. If I specifically need you to do something, I'll ask you. But it's MarsCon. It's the 21st year. I kind of know how this goes, how all this works. I have other people already sanctioned to be potential helping people. If I really need her to do something, like I'll ask. And then it turned out the thing I need her to do is go pick up Kyle and Lindsay at the airport, and that was perfect. But yeah, she was like, I mean, not that I don't know her. I've been getting to know her since September, but I just wonder, like, what kind of childhood did you have where, like, was nobody ever nice to you? Because she's like, all your friends are so nice. I'm like, yeah, they're decent human beings. It's like they're people who are good. They're all so nice to me. It's like, yeah, because you're amazing and they're good people and we're all going to get along. It's like, why are you surprised that everyone thinks you're cool and that you think they're all cool?
This hasn't been in the proper nerd circles yet.
It's like, this has been the least surprising thing about this weekend. Should have been this. But no, she had an awesome time. She was very happy to meet, and spend time with a whole bunch of my closer friends that she had never had a chance to do that with before. And just had a fun time. And yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, so the one of my takeaways from this that I'm is that, as I've shared with you, obviously, because you run FuMPFest, I have a few, like 5 or 6 years ago, I came up with this, like, the master to-do list of all the things I need to do to make MarsCon happen. And when I first made it, I broke it down by, like, the category of, like, okay, music guest of honor, other performers, just like, table 27, blah, 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 like all the different parts of making everything happen, like each has its own list. So, and generally speaking, yes, that list has worked. But this past year, I had a lot of crap going on in my life. I, dealing with personal stuff, and it put me in a state of I put off things far too long, and it ended up all piling up at the end of me scrambling to get everything finished. So
I know nothing about that.
Yeah. So what I want to do now is take that same list and reorganize it basically by month. By like, okay, by these are the things I need to have done by September. Here's the things I want to have done. Or actually more, September is more like when I start doing things officially. Have this stuff done by October, this done by November, this done by, Thanksgiving, this done by, January, like whatever. I'll figure out a logical, procession of when all of these things should be done, so that when I'm working on them, I'm, doing them in a timely manner. Because now that FuMPFest is back and it's in October, the most logical thing would be for me to announce who the music guest of honor is every year at MarsCon at FuMPFest. So if I can have, I generally spend all year trying to figure out who that's going to be. So if I can have that figured out by October 1st, I can then make the big announcement at FuMPFest and officially get the ball rolling on MarsCon every year, and just make sure that I do things in a manner that makes sense, so that by the time, so like mid-November, I would like to have the fundraiser album done, so that I have, 3 months to raise the money instead of 6 weeks, and and get it out before Black Friday, etc. Just like I said, a more realistic way to deal with all this stuff, so that I don't end up having a big, logjam pile up, at the end, which, was part of the reason why I didn't get to, finish my new song that I really wanted to get finished.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Not a bad idea.
But all in all, I'd say
no. And actually, I'm thinking the same thing now. I should reorganize my to-do list in a similar manner. That's a really good idea.
Yeah. So let's both do the same thing.
Let's do the thing.
And Kyle, did you have a good time?
I had a great time. That was an excellent MarsCon.
Yes. And we were able to, after a bunch of years, we since the Dimension Fun Bus seemed to make it a lot more doable in an easy way, we all climbed on the Dimension Fun Bus and everybody else climbed the Dimension Fun Bus and drove out to cons. I asked Andy and his manager Sarah if they wanted to come with the cons, and Kalani had rented a vehicle, so the four of us drove separately, which was nice because I got to talk to Andy about some stuff. I need to ask Andy if some of the stuff we talked about are things that I'm allowed to say on the podcast or not, because
I might know what some of them are.
Yeah, so because I don't want to screw things up for him or whatever. But yeah, just that was really cool. And another thing that's not directly MarsCon County Music Track related, but it made me really super happy. So one of my best friends in the whole world, Stephanie Wild, who I was married to for a few years way back in the day, she and her boyfriend Thor have been living in Madison, Wisconsin. She works as a stagehand. The Madison local people, she works as a stagehand on Broadway shows and rock concerts that come through Madison. And the Madison local people, frankly, have been treating her like crap for years. But she started branching out and going to other cities like Chicago and Milwaukee and Green Bay and Minneapolis. And the more she went to Minneapolis, the more the Minneapolis people were like awesome and treating her well, like a good, capable person who, does that job for a living and knows what she's doing. And she often would crash at our friend Keith, aka Keterman's place, to help facilitate her getting all this work up in the Twin Cities. So she's basically finally got to the point where she gets so much work up there all the time that I've been bugging her for years. You should just move to Minneapolis, move to the Twin Cities, live in the city where all of your best work is and where people don't treat you like crap. And her brother lives in Madison, and that was kind of her main reason for sticking around Madison, but she drives back and forth between the 4.5-hour drive between Madison and the Twin Cities so much just for this work that it's like, you can certainly drive back to see your brother whenever you want.
Yeah.
So her and Thor on, I think it was the Thursday of MarsCon weekend, because they were coming out for that anyway, they hit up an apartment, and they hit up some other places, but they hit up an apartment building that's right in downtown Minneapolis, like 22nd floor, and it's like right in the middle of like 7 or 8 of the main arenas and performance venues and theaters that she works at, and they applied for an apartment and they friggin' got it. So
awesome.
I'm just
like,
yeah. So I'm so happy for her, mainly because her and Thor and the cats will have a better life, but also it's like, I love the fact that she's gonna, she can literally, obviously during the winter there's gonna be snow and stuff, so that's an issue, but she could basically walk to work to probably most of her jobs once she gets moved in there. And obviously she'll be out there, so it's not like she has a big, drive now to get to MarsCon. In fact, I might be able to show up a day or two early and they said that apartment building itself has special guest rooms that you can reserve or whatever. Really? So I might be able to reserve that room at their place, cool. On a whatever the Wednesday or Thursday, so that I could fly in a day early and just chill. Maybe I could actually go to the Mall of America and actually do stuff at the mall for once, go to Toys R Us. So he got to go to Toys R Us.
He knows I got to go to Toys R Us because they were selling a copy of what is essentially Boob Tree.
What was it called? Telestrations?
Telestrations.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway.
I like drawing conclusions better, but Boob Tree is still is the best.
Yes.
I can't hear drawing conclusions without thinking of Office Space.
Okay.
The Jumping to Conclusions Mat.
Yes.
By Tom Simkowski. I have an uncle named Tom Simkowski, so every time I hear that, I'm like, it's My uncle, man, he's jumping to conclusions. Anyway, so why don't we move on to one of those songs that was made, like maybe by this guy or something.
So Kyle, why don't you give us a quick intro to this Scooter Picnic song that's been posted?
This song doesn't make any sense. It's our new favorite one to do.
All right, here is Mr. Macchiato Face by Scooter Picnic.
1, 2, 3, 4. Grandma's gone to the grocery store. Is she strong? Listen, bud. She's got radioactive blood. We bust bad rhymes. You know it's the truth. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I released a record on Needle Juice. Watch the Get Along Gang with Montgomery Moose.
I cover my waffles with butter and syrup. Then I lead an invasion of Europe. My horse's saddle is missing the stirrups, but that's okay. He's the size of a teacup. This is my handle.
What?
This is my spout.
What?
Tip me over and my change falls out. My spout is connected to all of my pockets, my articulations at all of my sockets.
Hey there, Mr. Macchiato Face. You got a coffee mouth and you're a big disgrace. I grind up the beans and I make your head. You're caffeinated and you'll wake the dead. Hey there, Mr. Macchiato Face. You've got no mouth, so just how do you taste? A little milky, the barista said. I'll drink your tears and then go to bed. I got 11 fingers and I'll show you how. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then the one I started with. I have to rhyme now. Revenge is the sin.
Nice.
You're a vampire. You know I'm hardcore. I'll invite you in, but then I'll show you the door. I'm the man that they call Man the Man. I'll invite you in, but then I'll show you the ham.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50 or more. 60, 70, 80, 90, 104. 12 N pie bagel, please mop the floor. D. Snyder, Frank, Zebra, and Tipper Gore. A hearse is a hearse. Of curse, of curse. And no one can curse this hearse of curse. Cause once you've cursed this verse is hers, you'll find, wait, 12 N? Bingo, I got bingo!
Bingo!
Hey there, Mr. Macchiato Face. You got a coffee mouth and you're a big disgrace. I grind up the beans and I make your head. You're caffeinated and you'll wake the dead. Hey there, Mr. Macchiato Face. You've got no mouth, so just how do you taste? A little milky, the barista said. I'll drink your tears and then go to bed.
Have you met my wife, Laverne? Doo-dah, doo-dah. She is feeling quite concerned all the doo-dah day. She Lavernes all night. She Lavernes all day. And not to tell tales out of school, but she Lavernes all the way. Whoa!
This problem's ironic. I love me some Sonic. It's purely platonic, like Johnny Mnemonic. The plague is bubonic. I'm not smoking chronic. Not feeling demonic. Might need a colonic. This song is harmonic. The plates are tectonic. That man is bionic. I'm feeling moronic. Or slightly sardonic. But one thing's iconic. My man Abe Vigoda is totes catatonic. Hey there, Mr. Macchiato Face. You got a coffee mouth and you're a big disgrace. I grind up the beans and I make your head. You're caffeinated and you'll wake the dead. Hey there, Mr. Macchiato Face. You've got no mouth, so just how do you taste? A little milky, the barista said. I'll drink your tears and then go to bed. Hey there, Mr. Macchiato Face. You're really
Dumb.
stupid. Just so
dumb.
stupid. Stupid.
So,
Chicken.
I guess my first question would be, what?
So, this song. No, I'll actually explain. Now, so a few years ago for FuMP, February Album Writing Month, you know, I've kind of gotten into the habit of when I choose to do FuMP instead of actually trying to finish, a whole album like I've done before with Chicken and Waffles and Ray Fillet and even, the bulk of Scooter Picnic headliners. Instead of like trying to actually finish an album, I'm just like, I'm going to just try to do several demos that are just like a verse and a chorus of something. And this is one of those from a couple of years ago. And what this was about like those guys in, Southern California who will hang out at, Starbucks or other coffee shops and just like buy one coffee in the morning and have their laptops and they're just writing their manuscript there all day. So I wrote that and I'm like, this doesn't seem like a TV's Kyle song. This seems like a Scooter Picnic song. And I sent it to Ian. Hey, what do you think of expanding this into a Scooter Picnic song? But like, not being from here, he has like no frame of reference for that. And so I'm like, that's fair. I don't want to do this song on my own. And so I thought about it, and I'm like, hey, what if we did this just as a complete nonsense song? And he was way into that. And so, at that point, I started that, and then, didn't do anything vis-a-vis finishing that for a couple of years, except, we decided that we wanted to, have a new Scooter Picnic song for this MarsCon set. And I'm like, oh, let's finish Mr. Macchiato Face. I did a really nice thing for myself at some point. I went and opened the Logic file for this song, and I'm like, oh, at some point in the past couple of years, I filled out the backing track for the rest of this song for the full length version. That was very nice of me. Thanks, me.
That's handy when that happens.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but it's awfully nice when it does.
So
so
you've been working on this song for a while.
Technically, if by working on this for a while you mean I started it a while ago, forgot about it, and then opened it and finished it. So yes,
I had kind of the opposite. Well, a similar situation, but with the kind of opposite effect. I noticed that Morbius was on Disney Plus, and I'm like, oh yeah, I still need to see Morbius. I'm gonna start watching Morbius, and I started watching Morbius. And I'm like, oh wait, I think I started watching this on a flight once, and then I don't think I got all the way through. I wonder when I'll get to the point where I catch up with where I stopped watching the movie and and then it was the end of the movie, and I realized I had already seen the entirety of Morbius. So I saw Morbius a second time accidentally.
Really good, memorable movie, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so a lot of the lyrics, I did the standard thing I did where I wrote my half of the lyrics and then passed it over to Ian for him to do his part. On my end, there are a lot of lyrics that are just kind of like long-standing running jokes that I have, now for this song put to music. Like the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the one I counted with is just a long-running joke for me. We bust bad rhymes, it's the truth. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice was a joke between me and my, then girlfriend Shannon in college. And so it's just a lot of putting some long-standing nonsense to music, and then other off the top of my head bullcrap that I decided was funny enough.
So when you wrote this, did you write all of your parts and then Ian wrote all of his parts, or was it a back and forth, one part at a time thing?
I wrote my parts and then he wrote his parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that how it always goes with you two, or
not always, but often? Sometimes there's a few stages of okay, I wrote, then you wrote, and then we'll do a back and forth thing. But with this being we have kind of a deadline, I'm going to do this way, which is kind of the path of least resistance, and certainly the way we've done things before. So, yeah. But that includes me writing the first half of the chorus and then Ian writing the second half. And so I think I'd recorded all of my stuff besides the second half of the chorus, and then had one last, set of recording to do the other half of the chorus, and then my little reactions to his stuff.
This song is very silly, and I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, what he said.
Would you mind, because I don't think you've told it on this podcast, tell the story about when you were rehearsing and Erica was there?
Oh, okay. So, y'all might be familiar with the TV's Kyle song that might as well be a Scooter Picnic song called Cat Named Flo. It starts with my verse, then there's an Ian verse, and then there is a Luke verse. Luke's verse is very rapid fire, to the degree that oh, did he write this specifically to make it a nightmare for him to perform live?
Yeah. Yeah. So for my final battle made the weapon I would use, a ball of Roman candles I run in and lit the fuse, etc.
So for Luke's birthday show a couple of months ago, I decided, all three of us are here. Ian had flown out for it. Let's do this. Let's do this for Luke's show. And we went over to Garrett Ilnej's apartment, to practice, since he was going to do guitar for our whole set, as he often does for California shows. And of course, Erica, friend of the show, his lovely bride, was there listening to us doing all of this. So,
Erica, as heard on Mary Berry Muffins.
Yes. And so, we're practicing the song. We go through it normally, and then we get up to where Luke would normally go. And instead of standing there in silence, Ian and I just start going. Erica was quickly on the floor.
No longer upright was this, Erica, as the response was doing that.
I'm so mad I wasn't there to witness this.
I'm kind of upset that wasn't recorded. That could have been a great bonus track.
By the way, happy birthday, Erica!
Happy birthday, Erica!
Happy birthday, Erica! So yeah, I really enjoy this type of writing, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Like, because like it's funny and it doesn't make sense, but like you used, what was it, Laverne as a verb, and like it makes sense in a way, and like I love it.
Well, it's like this seems to be the year of me like writing or at least recording the dumbest stuff I've ever written, and I'm kind of enjoying that. And it doesn't hurt that Worm Quartet album just came out and we all just listened to it
Repeatedly,
and
right?
Yeah, and that particular brand of absolute frigging nonsense is all rattling around, like, beautifully orchestrated nonsense is rattling around in our heads.
Yes.
I also have to kind of assume that the entire Needlejuice budget was covered from the savings of them just bringing everybody's orders to MarsCon and just handing people big bubble wrap things of here's your Kickstarter thing here. So yeah,
which was a great idea. I'm glad that Jace posted that.
Absolutely.
All right. So, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
I have a website on the Camp of Bands. There's tvskyle.bandcamp.com, but there's also scooterpicnic.bandcamp.com, which doesn't have the same melody. Except for, yes, it is. My social media is generally now limited. As far as, like, very public social media is, pretty much just Instagram now, which is TVSKYLE. Although there is both the TV's Kyle and Scooter Picnic page on Facebook. It's not terribly active, but it's also not inactive.
Kind of like the Devo Spice page.
Also, there is a podcast which has an episode coming out that was recorded live at MarsCon.
Yes.
That would be Kyle and Luke Talk About Tunes. You can find us at kyleandluke.com or kyleandluke.libsyn.com or wherever podcasts aren't sold. And this coming weekend's episode features our live Q&A interview with Andy Merrill, which was a lot of fun.
What do we use for the cover?
I'm sure
we didn't end up taking a picture of the three of us.
I mean, I at least got a picture of me with Andy, so if nothing else, we could use that.
Cool.
So
when Luke downloads the Twitch videos, you can pull a still shot of the three of you on stage.
That'd be a good idea.
I could. I also took a photo of Andy hugging you, so maybe that.
That was another funny thing from MarsCon weekend was so Stephanie, she knows who Andy Merrill is. She knows who Breck is. It's not like she's completely in the dark. But she started dating me in 1998 and was hanging out with me, for the majority of the time through about 2005-ish, So she was there during the Brack era. This is the
bracketing.
Brack, Taylor's version, or Taylor Brack's version. Either
when
way.
Brack was your default voice.
Yeah, it was, back when it was, either Brack or Dr. or Professor Frank or Gilbert or whatever. So basically, she kept talking about how it kept melting her brain to like be in the hallway, like up by table 27, and I'm standing here in table 27, and then she would hear, "Oh, how you doing, pal, buddy?" And then she'd be looking at me, but my mouth wasn't moving, and the voice was coming from over there, and she's just like, "No!" It's like, this is filling my brain, and then like Andy put on the Brack puppet and like got all up in her face about it, and the Brack puppet, he made the hands opposable so that he could make Brack doing the middle finger. So there's a great photo of like Brack just giving like, you just yelling stuff. It was
of
so
yours,
good.
buddy.
Yeah. And now I think they're Facebook friends. So good. So yeah, it's all good. Fun.
That's awesome.
Scooter Picnic. It's great.
Scooter Picnic. Yeah. Ian's not here because it's their anniversary. So happy anniversary, Ian and Sarah. All right. So we're gonna move on to news. Are you sticking around or are you taking off?
I think I might take off. Got to talk to Santana about something maybe, but yeah, I think I'm gonna do the thing since we just talked about MarsCon for a very long time.
Yes, we did.
If you have an opportunity to talk to Santana, you say yes.
Yay.
All right, cool.
All right. Bye, Kyle. Let's do some news.
This is the FuMP.
I know I'm a dork, and I wanna sing something dumb all day. Yes, I do. Ow, I love Paradise. I just wanna sing something dumb all day.
I'll wrap around your jumbo shrimp and get your heart a-racing, and always leave you satisfied if I can be your bacon.
But some things you can't have your way. Could you just let her watch her boyfriend play? You can't stand Swifties.
That's the Funny Music Project at thefump.com. THEFUMP.com.
For thee, my brains, get me off this train. This really is a pain. Should've took a plane. Get me off this train.
Time for funny music news. Something.
In the news, Richard Cheese announced that he recently reacquired the rights to his debut album, Lounge Against the Machine, from the year 2000, and it is now available from richardcheese.bandcamp.com, and he says it will be coming on CD and vinyl. And you can also listen to this album on YouTube. His handle is @RichardCheese. So check out richardcheese.bandcamp.com for Lounge Against the Machine. And sometime last week after the show, I think it was on Friday, I launched the new FuMP payment systems. We are now using Stripe to accept payments for subscriptions and stores, and everything seems to be working. And we don't have any massive fraud attacks happening anymore, at least for the time being. So I am cautiously optimistic that we can move on from this nightmare. But it is now possible once again for you all to give me money. So please give me money. That's all the news I got. Do you have anything before tour dates?
No.
All right. Tour dates. On Sundays in Nashville, Tennessee, Steve Goody hosting at the Bluebird. On Sundays, online, Two Sleeps. Mondays, online, Steve Goody and Brad Tassel at virtualcomedyshow.com. Mondays and Wednesdays, online, Bill Larkin. The 15th and 16th in Alameda, California, Phil Johnson and Roadside Attraction. The 15th in Rochester, New York, Worm Quartet. The 16th in Morristown, New Jersey, Carla Ulbrich. Oh, I may have to go to that. The 17th online, Escape from the Secret Lab, featuring the Consortium of Genius. The 21st in New York City, Phil Johnson and Roadside Attraction. The 23rd in New York City, Phil Johnson and Roadside Attraction on Rob Paravonian's show at QED Astoria. I might have to go to that one too. And on the 24th in New York City, Phil Johnson and Roadside Attraction. And birthdays. Coming up on the 17th, we have Marc Gunn. So happy birthday, Marc. Woohoo! All right. Second song this week is from Via Bella's new album, Live from Germany. Here is Let's Not Fight About Star Trek, followed by a roughly 15-minute interview.
This song, this song is called Let's Not Fight About Star Trek.
There's a show I like, seems like I never get to savor it. Before a week goes by and walks some random guy with the battle cry.
Which one's your favorite?
One sure way to fail my friendship test is to make me rank something from the worst to the best.
Angel or Spike, Kirk, Sisko or Pike.
Why make me choose? Can't I just like what I like?
I don't want to rank the captains. Can't I just like them all? Why insist on a definitive list? Are you trying to start a brawl?
Let's not fight about Star Trek. I don't care which one is the best. This incessant need to rank things just makes me wanna scream. So let's not fight about Star Trek. I can't think of anything more banal. They're all great, so why debate? Why can't we just enjoy them all and not fight about Star Trek? Bashir, Crusher, or McCoy,
Must you destroy my joy?
make me explain my disdain.
You're gonna give me a migraine.
This isn't hard, it's not just Kirk or Picard, and I can't disregard that you forgot about Janeway.
I like the new and the old Trek. I like Lower Decks and Deep Space Nine. I like the odd-numbered movies. I like Shatner and Wesley, Bennett and Pine.
Let's not fight about Star Trek. I don't care which one is the best. This incessant need to rank things just makes me wanna scream. So let's not fight about Star Trek. I can't think of anything more banal. They're all great, so why debate? Why can't we just enjoy them all and not fight about Star Trek? Must you ask such ridiculous questions?
Do you like Noonie and sing Noonie and song?
I know it's what nerds do, but I don't need to hear some
So
yahoo.
let me explain to you why your opinion is wrong.
I disapprove of your disapproving.
That doesn't make me a hypocrite.
You're allowed to like it or hate
Just
it.
don't expect me to accept it as holy writ.
Let's not fight about Star Trek. I don't care which one is the best. This incessant need to rank things just makes me wanna scream. So let's not fight about Star Trek. I can think of anything more banal. They're all great, so why debate? Why can't we just enjoy them all and not fight about Star Trek? Not fight about Star Trek.
Let's not fight about Star Trek.
Thank you.
I am here with Via Bella. How you doing, folks? Welcome back.
Good mom.
Great.
So tell us about this song.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it started with an idea from Aaron, as many of our songs do. Yeah, I mean, if you want to, the stock phrase is that, we're just kind of both tired of the fact that most online opinion pieces tend to be written as if there's objective criteria to consult when you're creating a listicle. And like I said, I love listicles. I will admit that I love them, but I would prefer that people, list it as, their opinion, my favorite, whatever, as opposed to, the definitive ranking of the Star Trek captains from worst to best, that sort of thing. So
Exactly.
But it really, I'm mildly amused by that, and Aaron is,
Well, anytime you get multiple versions of the same character, even like James Bond, people are always, you find out you're a fan of James Bond, it's like, oh, which Bond is your favorite, and then you say anything but Sean Connery, and people are like, oh,
Yeah, Devo, I think you're right. I think it's definitely kind of a nerd love language thing.
Yeah.
That, it's a way that you can get to know someone and you want to ask that. But there is, and I also think, most of the listicles that say, ranking them from worst to best, when you actually watch the video or read the list, you understand that this person is giving their opinion. It's just that they understand that you're going to get a lot more click through. If people can,
Yeah, I watched one of these, I think it was like the 10 worst games for the NES. and this dude had Battletoads on the list, and I'm like, are you out of your mind? And he's like, and he it was like number 6, and he's like, well, to be fair, I love Battletoads. It's just a really hard game, and I couldn't beat it. And I'm like, that doesn't make it a bad game. That makes you a shitty player at this game. That's all.
I again, as someone who's been hanging out in comic book stores, for, going on 40 years, I mean, I'm so, I've lost count of how many times I've had to say to someone, well, maybe that person wouldn't be so angry at you if you said, I didn't enjoy this month's issue of Batman, rather than saying this month's issue of Batman sucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just think, people, it's amazing how many times people just don't think about that you can't argue with an opinion.
Yeah.
Or at least you shouldn't be able to, you know what I mean? And which is, like, there is a line in there, like, toward the end of the song about, what is it, something about, let me explain to you why your opinion is
your
wrong.
opinion is wrong. Yes, I love that line.
Yeah, like, and that's because, and a lot of it, that's the thing, like Aaron made a list of, kind of Star Trek things, and then I was kind of simultaneously making a list of, like, things I remember hearing in conversations that always made me scratch my head about this sort of thing. And then, and then as often happens with Aaron's lyrics, because obviously she's writing something with a different, cadence or different, like, metrical feet than I would write. It very frequently, when I just read what she's written, like in this case, the chorus, it just kind of, a melody kind of comes to mind, or at least certainly the rhythm of a melody comes to mind immediately. And so sending it to music was fairly, it came fairly quickly. And then it was just a matter of us sitting down together and kind of pounding out, what we thought the right lyrics would be. And so, like, I'm not sure it was going to be specifically a Star Trek song when we started. It was just going to be nerds in general. But then, as often is the case for me, I like to exhaust a rhyme. I like to kind of hone in on something and say, I can get 5 minutes out of, this, rather than be too broad. It's almost like it's too much for my brain.
I mean, you do mention Angel or Spike in one line.
Well,
so
and that's the tell. It's kind of like we do, like, in Ukla's song Bizarro World. I meant the bridge to just be a bunch of things in foreign languages, but it ended up all being French, except there's a German word at the very beginning. It was like when I started writing it, I wasn't thinking Star Trek, and then you're right, and I just never bothered to replace that. You're right, though. That's
right. Because the chorus of the song was always, let's not fight about Star Trek, but then we thought we were going to pull in, these other
fandoms. And,
other fandoms.
But and that's the thing, like, frankly, Ukla's, the Michael Jackson song, Famous People, it's called Famous People because it wasn't meant to be about Michael Jackson. It was just supposed to start with Michael Jackson and then move on to other celebrities. And I'm like, well, we're not going to beat Michael Jackson. Like whatever scale this concept is on, Michael Jackson has pegged it. So we just stayed there. And same with this. We thought, like, people will get that we're not really just talking about Star Trek, and Star Trek there's a lot to dig into with Star Trek.
So this is basically just your MO with songwriting is you have plans and then you kind of pick one and just get stuck there.
Yeah, I just focus better. Like, because I even do that with rhymes. So like I don't move on. I'll oftentimes, like, a song will have, like, the same rhymes from verse to verse or from chorus to chorus. Because I love just, it's easier for my brain to just focus on the minutia and go deeper as opposed to wider, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Doctor Who has this problem too, because you've got, 15 doctors now, not counting a lot of them. And so it's like, who's your favorite? Who's the best? What, and then it was even, people were talking online, like, who was the best showrunner? Who was the best writer? And I'm like, I have my favorites, and I have my favorite stories and episodes and stuff, and I have my least favorite, but it's like, it's just my opinion, even if, a lot of people do share my opinion that, what was that, Legend of the Sea Devils was an abomination of an episode. But
yeah, I was surprised when you started this, that you went to James Bond when Doctor Who was just sitting there for you. I was
trying to think of something outside of fandom, because it's just so easy to go through, like, oh, which member of Super Friends is your best? You can do this with anything.
But and it's funny you mentioned the ridiculous minutia, because I want to say even that one of the things that's really started this, Aaron, was you found a list that was like every episode of Star Trek ranks from worst to best. It was just like, just like, so like, oh my God, the amount of work that goes into that. Like, and how do you
Wait, did that span like all the series too?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it was like, to me, like, and again, I think the people that do this are forgetting that, like, like 20 years ago on the internet, there were a lot of lists like this, but they were done like, there's lots of comic book things. It'd be like, the 100 best graphic novels of the 80s or whatever. But those are done by votes. It's not like some jackass in his basement just like ranking things. It's actually like they have people vote and then they tell you here's the results of the survey. But so yeah, it is. And
it was also there was a conversation that I had seen on Facebook where people were talking about Star Trek, and it was mainly focused on the original series, and like somebody was arguing that like definitively, no questions, quality wise, the original series is better than any other Star Trek, and I will not take any questions. I'm like, well, that's fine for you to have that opinion. But how? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was frustrating. So I just backed away slowly and wrote a song.
All I could think of was on which show was it? I think it was Strange New Worlds. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
With the Gorn. Mm-hmm. All I can think of every time the Gorn came on screen is like, wow, in 10 years when they're fighting Kirk, he's going to look a lot different.
Well, it's really funny. Yeah, the original Trek Gorn, I mean, like the Mego action figure of the Gorn actually looked better than the Gorn as it appeared on the show.
Because the Gorn on the show...
I have to share this because it's just, I find it hilarious, and it's what I've chosen to believe. There's a headcanon out there on the internet. The original series is like filmed reenactments of the ship's logs.
Okay.
So that's why it's so cheesy and
okay, I'll buy that. I can get behind that. That's fine.
Yeah,
it was like headcanon accepted.
Yeah, that's yeah. That does that works for sure.
Because that Gorn fight was straight out of like the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra, I mean.
Yeah, it's and obviously, again, we're I'm certainly old enough to appreciate the original series, warts and all. What I mean? What I mean by that is that if I were 20 years old, and I grew up in a world where I was experiencing this new Trek and was going back to the 90s Trek and then further back to the 60s Trek, I'm not sure if I'd be able to, in the same way that, a kid today can't watch the the 70s Superman movies with the same sense of wonder that we can.
Yeah, it's not the same sense of wonder, but like the fans of the thing can go back and appreciate them. Like I was in a internet discussion recently with somebody about Doctor Who had shown his partner the like one of the recent episodes and really liked it, and then went back and watched some of the new show, and he's like, I want to introduce him to the old series, but he started with the very first episode, An Unearthly Child, and he said it was boring, and I'm like, it is boring. I'm like, you can't start with that one. I'm like, here's a couple episodes to watch these. If he enjoys those, then maybe skip around, watch some others, but don't go in order. When you get to the web planet, you're going to just shut it off and never watch it again.
Well, this is where skip guides become helpful because, nowadays Strange New Worlds is amazing because they're only doing 10 episodes a season.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's part of the reason. I mean, if you go back, let's say, to Deep Space Nine and you pull out the 10 best episodes of each season, well, that's one of the best TV shows of all time. Unfortunately, each season had 28 episodes. You know what I mean? And so it's when in doubt, let's torture O'Brien. Let's have someone capture and torture O'Brien. Like that happens 3 times a season. Do you know what I mean? But I don't blame them because, like I said, they're getting the same salary, the same, and yet they're having to do 3 times the work. So
this song is from your new album, Live from Germany.
Yes, yeah, we were fortunate enough, Aaron and I, to be invited as the guests of honor at a con called Intermezzo that took place in Wernigerode, Germany.
I can never remember
it was-
the name of that convention. I played this song on Manic Mondays last week or the week before when your album came out, and I was like, they were guests of honor at a convention in Germany, hence the title of the CD.
Yes, but and that took place in the fall, and we did a couple of concerts, and we got them recorded. We ended up missing maybe the first third of one of our concerts didn't get recorded, but we still had enough tracks from both concerts. We did kind of unique sets, so we had not quite 2 hours of material to choose from, and so we picked the hour of it that we were happiest with, and we're super excited because our studio album came out in 2018, and that was a while ago. And so like this album only has 4 songs from that, and the rest of them are all new songs. So we're pretty so it kind of, even though obviously they're not studio recordings, it kind of functions like a new album for us in terms of new material, and it also allows us to do a couple of parodies and these kind of MST3 covers, like the Rocket Man one that we did a month or so ago, which are things that we wouldn't be likely to record in the studio. So
makes sense.
But the album is available. You can get it on CD or digitally through our Bandcamp page, which is just viabellaband.bandcamp. Do it here. I do have a. There it is. Ooh, and all of it's. Ooh, look.
Woo! Upside down.
Oh no, the CD. Well, it does rotate. There it is. So, if you're fans of physical media, you give us some currency on paper, and we'll give you a disc of petroleum. So.
Yes, and he did send me some copies, so that it will be up in the FuMP store as soon as I get around to that, hopefully soon.
Excellent.
So,
excellent.
All right. So, is there anything else you'd like to plug?
Well, Aaron, you probably should. Aaron, talk about Plug Imperio.
Oh, yeah. So I am co-chair of a FILK convention that takes place in Ontario called FILK Ontario, and that is coming right up. I don't have the dates.
April 19th, I believe. The weekend of April 19th.
Yeah, April 19th to the 21st.
And so that will, and that's if you like FILK, that's certainly it's probably the closest that Aaron and I have to a home convention. And we certainly attend there every year. And Aaron liked it so much that she took over as co-chair of the con. So, that's if you enjoy music, it's a convention where the whole weekend is just going to be concerts and workshops and performances. So it's in circles.
Sounds great.
All music all the time. Yeah.
Well, best of luck with it.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
And we will catch you guys next time.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Recording stopped.
Making the internet absolutely ridiculous. Dementia Radio.
www.dementiaradio.org. Port 8027.
Please hang up and try again.
This is the part where there's feedback. Feedback. You know that segment of the show we do about now? Feedback. Feedback.
Feedback. Ken Sherlock wrote, while watching the video at 4 a.m. last Thursday, I had to rewind and look at A-Log's feedback intro. I have seen this multiple times before, but did not notice I am in the background of that picture taken at FuMPFest 2019. Sorry, A-Log. On the 12th floor at MarsCon Saturday night, my daughter and I discussed the possibility of chartering a bus for 2025 and how to make it better, and on the ride back while sober confirmed it was doable. Multiple people have already asked about riding next year, and I will let people know if this will happen in January. Thank you, Ken. And speaking of the A-Log intro. A-Log!
Oh my god, it's you, not again!
Yep, that's Ken in the background. A-Log wrote, thanks for answering my question about Spotify and the Billboard charts. Here's hoping somebody would try to beat the system by having Joe Dolce get that #1 in the U.S. for Shut Up Your Face that he never got. And I know this might be outdated by the time this airs, but I hope you guys have a great time at MarsCon. Once again, I can't go because of financial issues and difficulties in the job hunt. I'm currently back to working 2 days a week, but who knows how long that will last before I get the boot. Still a shame that I won't get to meet Andy Merrill in the flesh. I'd love to tell him that his take on Institutionalized was the #1 song on the Whacked Out 40 of 2018. I wonder what he'll think of that. Thank you, A-Log. And that is all the feedback we got.
Teasing. He's a teasing kind of guy. And I have a job.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's song is by Jeff Whitmire.
Woohoo!
And Tuesday's song is by Power Salad.
Yeah.
And I need a topic for the Spotify playlist. Any suggestions?
Chilling out and relaxing.
Maxing all cool and all, shooting some b-ball outside of the pool.
Something like that.
Relaxing. All right, I'll see what I can find. I know Stress by Jim Infantino would work.
Lo-fi dementia beats.
Lo-fi dementia beats. All right, I'll see what I can find. I'll do something in that. Oh, there's like I got stoned and I missed it would be good.
I doubt that Uncle Jack Says Relax is on Spotify.
Probably not, but I can look. Let's look at madmusic.com and see what comes up when I search for the word relax. Waiting for the site to load. It's taking a while for some reason. My bandwidth appears to be okay for the moment. I'm getting redirected to all kinds of spam sites. So this is bad. All right. I think Captain Wayne may have gotten hacked. Because, oh, now it's, okay, now it worked. Maybe it was an ad or something, but it redirected the entire site to like 5 or 6 different spam sites. All right, so relax. All right, it gets like 15 songs or so, but I don't know if any of them are like, because they really, you know, push the limits of what is considered comedy on this site. But Lester McFlap's Carnival of Vomit, remember those guys?
Wow.
I'll have to see if that's on Spotify. I doubt it. But, oh, Richard Cheese has a version of Relax. That's a good one. Richard Cheese. Uncle Jack Says Relax is by Charles Webb and Tom Bolton. The Voice on the Relaxation Tape by Christine Lavin. I've never heard that, but that's got to work. So, okay, we might have enough songs for a topic here.
Maybe as a side note, see if anything relating to ASMR is in there.
Okay.
It's supposed to be relaxing.
Yeah. Did you see the Beavis and Butthead where they did ASMR?
Yes.
I didn't know I needed Beavis and Butthead doing ASMR in my life, but man, that was glorious. All right. So, TV's Kyle is at tvskyle.bandcamp.com, and Via Bella is at viabella.bandcamp.com. And,
Scooter Picnic.
And Scooter Picnic, sorry. Scooter Picnic is at scooterpicnic.bandcamp.com. Because Kyle was here, and that's where my brain went. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. I'm Devo Spice.
I'm Luke Ski.
Bye.
Kyle was here. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. You can listen live every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific at DementiaRadio.org and join us in the chat or subscribe to the podcast feed. Look us up on iTunes and be sure to leave us a review. Feedback for the show can be sent to info@thefump.com. The Funny Music Podcast is a production of Fidem Interactive LLC, released under a Creative Commons share-alike license. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, shout it to random people on the street, and be sure to visit thefump.com for the latest funny songs. Tune in next week where you'll hear Luke Ski say,
"And I brought all my shoes and my glasses with me, so I have them." Fantastic then.